Welcome to Walking Through Holy Week at First Presbyterian Church, Dallas. We're glad you've chosen to share the Holy Week story with us. Get your walking stick and a comfortable pair of shoes, and let's begin our journey.
The Holy Week story begins as we join Jesus, who is walking toward Jerusalem with his disciples. As Jesus neared Bethphage and Bethany on the Mount of Olives, he sent two of his disciples ahead. He told them, "Go into the next village where you will find a young donkey that has never been ridden. Untie the donkey and bring it here. If anyone asks you why you're doing this, just say, 'The Lord needs it.'"
They went off and found everything just as Jesus had said. While they were untying the donkey, its owners asked, "Why are you doing that?" They answered, "The Lord needs it." Then they led the donkey to Jesus. They put some of their clothes on its back, and they helped Jesus get on. And as he rode along, the people spread clothes on the road in front of him.
When Jesus was starting down the Mount of Olives, the large crowd of disciples were happy and praised God because of all the miracles they had seen. They shouted,
"Glory to God!
Blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord.
Hosanna, Hosanna!"
Some Pharisees in the crowd said to Jesus, "Teacher, make your disciples stop shouting." But Jesus answered, "If they keep quiet, these stones will start shouting."
This is where our Palm Sunday Passion Walk begins. To see what happens next, follow your guide to 4 days later.
Please be quiet as you enter this upper room. You will see Jesus and his 12 disciples gathered for a simple meal together. I am the servant who attended this group as they ate and visited together. Remember that back in the days of Jesus, the streets of Jerusalem were made of packed down dirt and were very dusty. Everyone wore sandals. To avoid tracking all that dirt into their homes and to give people a treat, polite hosts at a dinner party had a servant just inside the door. This servant would wash people's feet when they arrived for dinner. For the servant, it was not pleasant work. In fact, the job was given to the lowest of all the servants. But this night, Jesus did something that shocked his disciples. He took off his outer robe, tied a towel around his waist, and poured water into a wash basin. They watched in amazement as he washed their feet. They were confused and amazed. Why was he doing this? When he finished washing his disciples' feet, he put his robe back on and returned to his place at the dinner table. Then he spoke to his followers.
"Do you understand what I have done to you? I, your Lord and teacher, have just washed your feet. You should wash one another's feet. I have set an example for you so that you will do just what I have done for you."
I am one of Jesus' disciples. After Jesus washed our feet, we ate the Passover meal together. While we were eating, Jesus took a piece of bread, broke it, and passed it to us. "Take it," he said. "This is my body which is given for you. Eat this as a way of remembering me." Then he took a cup, gave thanks to God, and passed it to us. "This is my blood which is poured out for many for the forgiveness of sins." After dinner, we sang a song and then went out to the Garden of Gethsemane. Please follow me to that place of betrayal.
Let us break bread together on our knees.
Halt where you are. You are standing outside the garden where Jesus has come with his disciples, following their Last Supper together. Stay where you are while we tell you the story of Jesus' arrest.
There was a traitor among Jesus' friends. His name was Judas. He had offered to lead us to Jesus when he was away from the crowds and easier to capture. For this information, he was paid 30 silver coins.
Judas led us to Jesus and his disciples to this garden. He had given us a signal that he will kiss the one who was Jesus. We will then arrest the right man. As he stepped in front of Jesus, Jesus looked sadly at him and said, "Judas, is it with a kiss that you betray me?"
When the disciples saw that was going to happen, they went for their swords. One of them cut off the ear of the high priest's slave. But Jesus said, "Enough of this." He touched the man's ear and healed him.
Then we tied his hands and led him to the house of the high priest. Most of the disciples disappeared, but we noticed that one, Peter, followed at a safe distance.
There followed a series of so-called trials. Do you see that door before you? Move that way to enter the court.
Jesus walked that lonesome valley. He had to walk it by himself. Nobody else could walk it for him. He had to walk it by himself.
Order in the court! Order in the court! You, standing in the back, listen to what the court records say about the trial of Jesus of Nazareth. At the high priest's house, fake witnesses accused Jesus of saying all sorts of bad things about God. The high priest declared that Jesus should be put to death. But since the religious leaders could not execute anyone, they took Jesus to Pilate, the Roman governor, who could order his death. After hearing their accusations, Pilate questioned Jesus himself. He was convinced Jesus was innocent, but he knew that the priests wanted him killed, so Pilate said nothing about Jesus' guilt or innocence. He simply asked the priests and the crowd with them, whom would they rather have released, the horrible murderer Barabbas or Jesus? He assumed, of course, that they would choose Jesus. Pilate was surprised when the crowd yelled for Barabbas. Unable to save Jesus, Pilate brought out a basin of water, washed his hands in front of everyone, and said, "I am not responsible for the death of this man." Then he had Jesus whipped and turned him over to them to be crucified.
I am Peter, one of Jesus' disciples, the one who let him down. At dinner that night, I said, "Lord, I'll go with you anywhere. I am ready to die for you." I really thought I was. Jesus knew better. "Peter," he said, "before the rooster crows tomorrow morning, you will say 3 times that you did not even know me." I did not believe him then, but that was before everything went so wrong. In the confusion, when Jesus was arrested, I followed the crowd to the high priest's house. There was a servant girl at the gate. She stopped me. "Aren't you one of Jesus' disciples?" she asked. Scared, I said that I was not. Because it was cold, I stood near a fire with a group of guards and servants while I waited to see what would happen to Jesus inside. One of them asked again, "Aren't you one of his disciples?" In a panic, I said, "No, I'm not." But another man spoke again. "Didn't I see you eye on the garden when they arrested him?" Shaking, I said, "No, I don't even know the man." That is when I heard the rooster crow. I remembered what Jesus said. "Before the rooster crows, you will deny me 3 times. Some friend I turned out to be. I left the yard and wept bitterly.
Next, please move through that door and follow the path to the hill where Jesus was crucified.
You have just walked the rocky way to the place called the Skull, where soldiers nailed Jesus and two criminals to crosses, one on each side of Jesus. Take a breath after this journey and listen to what happened next. Jesus said, "Father, forgive these people. They don't know what they're doing." While the crowd stood there watching Jesus, the soldiers gambled for his clothes. The leaders insulted him by saying, "He saved others. Now he should save himself, if he really is God's chosen Messiah." The soldiers made fun of Jesus and brought him some wine. They said, "If you are the king of the Jews, save yourself." Above him was a sign that said, "This is the King of the Jews." One of the criminals hanging there also insulted Jesus by saying, "Aren't you the Messiah? Save yourself and save us." But the other criminal told the first one off, "Don't you fear God? Aren't you getting the same punishment as this man? We got what was coming to us, but he didn't do anything wrong." Then he said to Jesus, "Remember me when you come into power." Jesus replied, "I promise that today you will be with me in paradise." Around noon, the sky turned dark and stayed that way until the middle of the afternoon. The sun stopped shining, and the curtain in the temple split down the middle. Jesus shouted, "Father, I put myself in your hands." Then he died. When the Roman officer saw what happened, he praised God and said, "Jesus must really have been a good man." A crowd had gathered to see the terrible sight. Then, after they had seen it, they felt brokenhearted and went home. All of Jesus' close friends and the women who had come with him from Galilee stood at a distance and watched. And now, please walk to the garden where Jesus is buried.
Were you there when they laid him in the tomb? Were you there? Were you there when they laid him in the tomb? Were you there? Sometimes it causes me to tremble, tremble, tremble. Were you there when they laid him in the tomb? Were you there?
Welcome to the place where Jesus' body was laid to rest. Please sit and listen to the story of Jesus' burial following his crucifixion. There was a man named Joseph from Arimathea, a good and honorable man. He asked Pontius Pilate for the body of Jesus. Then he took the body down, wrapped it in a linen sheet, and placed it in a tomb which had been dug out of solid rock and which had never been used. It was Friday, and the Sabbath was about to begin. The women who had followed Jesus from Galilee went with Joseph and saw the tomb and how Jesus' body was placed in it. Then they went back home and prepared the spices and perfumes for the body. On the Sabbath, they rested, as the law commanded. Very early on Sunday morning, the women went to the tomb, carrying the spices they had prepared. This is where we leave the story now. We all know that there is another step, an exciting, happy step on this path, one that will have to wait until next Sunday, until Easter. Thank you for being a part of our Holy Week journey. Think about the things that you have seen and heard as you anticipate Easter Sunday and its promise of new life.